Annette, we can't hear you.
All right, let's try this again. Welcome. We look forward to visiting with you today about the 21st Century Community Learning Program that we have and the grant that's coming up. Today, our focus will be just about the 21st Century grant itself. So if you're an experienced grantee or you have children or some relationship with a grant, a lot of the things today will be reminders. You don't have to register for our meetings, nor do you have to attend to actually be an applicant, but we are glad you're here, and we will post a recording on our website later on. Again, I am Annette Scoggin. I'm one of the 21st Century team members here, and I will now turn it over to Alicia, who is another one of our great team members. Alicia, introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alicia Alvis. I do work for the State Department of Education for federal programs, and one of my grants is the 21st Century grant. I just want to say that part of being this grant, this is not my first time of having any affiliation with the 21st Century grant. I was able to have this in my building, this program in my building. So I've been working on the grant for the last almost it's going a year and a half now, but I've been working at the State Department now for about 5 years. So I'm excited to be able to serve you all and to provide any assistance as I can as we go through this process.
Dr. Pines.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Rebecca Pines, and I come to you from Montgomery Public Schools. I was previously the technology coordinator at an elementary school, and I have the privilege now of working with the 21st Century Grant within the Federal Programs Department at the State Department of Education. And I truly look forward to working with you all as you complete the requirements to acquire this grant.
Thank you, Dr. Pines. And then we have our great Erica, who we have a contract with, the TPI. Erica, you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your experience?
Hi, I'm Erica Rucker with Auburn University Truman Pierce Institute. I am a former grantee for 21st Century. I had the grant for over 11 years and was a program and site director throughout that time. So in my role now, I play a nice little intermediary between the State Department and the grantee. So I still get to touch children through the grantees, and I enjoy it. So here to help however I can.
Thank you. And circling back, just to let you know, I have over 20 years experience as an administrator in the district office, and I have worked with the grant, the 21st Century grant, in a number of different ways and other grants. So the big thing you will see about our team, and including Erica and our TAs, is we're very, very passionate about out of school time and very passionate about the 21st Century grant and how we can help students and communities succeed. Moving on, we want to provide you with an overview of what you will hear today and what you want to benefit from. Again, if you've had the grant, I know I see Donna and a few other people on here that have had the grant before. This is just an overview of the grant itself, the federal grant, and what it does and what it can do for your community, so that you leave here thinking about some key factors if you would like to apply once the RFA is released. We have provided this screen for you because we want you to know that research shows, and I'm sure you know this because you're on here, but at quality out of school time and after school programs take your community and the education learning of your students to the next level. They help with risky behaviors, with attendance, with college and career readiness, dropout rates, and everything like that. As you know, if you're connected in those after school hours, your ability for success is high. In this screen, when we release this PowerPoint coming up later this week, you'll be able to click on anything that's underlined and it will take you to some great research. It will help you think about writing the grant, and if you're going to write the grant, how you might implement it. Our 21st Century, again, is through the US DOE, and we want you to know it's about an extension of the school day. It does not look like the school day when you bring the kids into the after hours and our program within the 21st century. Again, we are engaging, we're bringing what they learned during the school day to life, whether that's through the arts, through music, through whatever you may do, however you may write your grant around the components that roll out within it. It's all about engagement and bringing the community and families together. And so we want you to pay close attention to that key point that it is a community learning center. So it's not just the students, but it's your entire community that comes together to facilitate this grant and to benefit from this grant. The 21st Century Community Learning Center grant was developed during 1998 during the Clinton administration. It did have a little bit of transition or overhaul in 2002. And from there, it's pretty much stayed the same. But the big thing you want to pay attention to here is the bottom line. To date, how many students, how many families, how many communities has this grant impacted? It is a federal grant, so I do want to let you know that in the aspect of it comes with some compliance and it does have some components that we have to follow. But overall, you can see by the numbers, this grant in itself is making a huge impact across our nation. So why would you consider applying? Maybe you're thinking about, oh, well, I already operate a child care center or Boys and Girls Club, or we currently have some things going on, but we'd like to really expand those in the out of school time. But what I want you to stand on is think about who was your champion, who was your favorite teacher, who was your favorite pastor, or somebody along the way that touched you. We all need a champion, and we all can be champions through this grant. A couple of parents that we reached out to that have had students within our grant said these comments. Their preschooler doesn't want to come home. Now that's a little bit heartbreaking on one end, but on the other end, it's amazing because the kids are having so much fun. You know, watching the kids drop their backpacks and run to go be a part of the 21st Century grant is just amazing and so rewarding in so many ways. But also it provides you with confidence and eagerness as a student to go, hey, I'm going to actually get to play and get to do some things, but it's going to relate to what I learned within the school day. Another way you can think about your grant is that you have parents, and you can see this quote here from this parent, that it's really difficult for them to pick students up at 2 or 3 o'clock when they get out. Or maybe you have middle school and high school students that you don't want to go home. They're not involved in any other activities and there's nothing for them to do. You don't want them to be alone. And so this is a time where students not only are engaged and learning and being able to socialize and do all the great things within the grant, they also can be within the program and they can be safe. So pay attention, and when you're writing your grant, if you decide to do that, about the safety aspect and the comfort of working families. At this time, we're going to see a great video about a good program, and actually Erica's in it, and you're going to hear her speak. Erica, I'm not able to hear it. I would assume everybody else is not able to hear it either.
Alicia, optimize the sound for the share.
I did.
Stop it and start it over again.
And you all see the screen?
Yes. Stop your share. And then when you restart it, make sure you check the button for sound.
Because we could
There you
expand our
go.
program.
I apologize.
BREAD Center, which is an acronym for Birmingham Regional Empowerment and Development Center, was formerly Bethel Community Learning Center. It is an outgrowth of the ministries of Bethel Baptist Church. Prior to getting grant funding, Bethel provided summer enrichment programs and after-school tutoring programs for children. When we received our first 21st Century grant 15 years ago, we were excited because we could expand our program to provide more activities for our children. The programs of BREAD consist of math, reading, science. We focus on STEM activities, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, realizing that we are preparing our children for the future, and some of those jobs have not even been created. So we are proud of our program. Our children are here from 3 to 6. We provide transportation services from one Birmingham City school here and 6 county schools. We also have sites in several city schools. We run a program, the after-school program at Norwood Elementary School, at Glen Iris Elementary School, Martha Gaskin, and Ozzie Ware Middle School.
So before the BREAD program, or before I got here, I was going to another camp. And I guess one day this camp was closed, so my grandmom had to take me to her job. My grandma worked at BREAD. And somehow I snuck away and I started playing with the other kids, and my grandmom tried to bring me back to her office and I didn't want to go. So that's when she decided to enroll me in the BREAD program. The BREAD program was much more fun than the camp that I was going to previously.
Glen Iris Elementary School and BREAD began our partnership about 4 years ago. It was almost accidentally. After-school programs were changing in Birmingham City schools. I was looking for something to be different in my school. And through conversations with a mutual friend, I met Erica, and Erica Eatman at that time. And she came in and we started talking, and lo and behold, next thing we knew, we were writing a grant application. And well, I was talking, she was writing, and we got funded. So that's where our story began. So we're now in our second cycle of funding with our after-school program here at Glen Iris. We currently serve about 110 children every afternoon from 3 to 6, and then another 100 to 125 children in the summertime for a summer enrichment program.
The favorite thing I like about Chromebooks is typing.com, ABC, and some more games like Prodigy and stuff. That's pretty much my favorite thing about the Chromebooks.
What I like about the Chromebooks is Nitro Type. That's my favorite game.
It helps you type. Like, if you don't know how to type, it can tell you, like, you can do like a practice race without nobody, so you can like practice your typing and get faster.
You can either sign in, log in, or be a guest racer. So it's basically about like you typing, you learning how to type as you're racing random people or your friends, something like that. But it's helping you get better at typing.
We do gardening. We partner with Jones Valley Teaching Farm at our Glen Iris location to do gardening, but even at our other sites, at Ozzie Ware, we partner with a senior living facility right next door, and we do gardening with them weekly as a service learning project. We help them actually clean their beds out. We help them plant in the springtime. We get to eat with them when they actually harvest the vegetables and fruits. And it's just something that an ongoing partnership that we've had for almost a year now. We go and we see them every week. And not only are we providing help with the gardening with them, they're providing mentoring for our kids. They're teaching them different aspects of gardening because gardening is becoming a lost art form. Some of our kids think that food comes from Walmart. So we want to make sure that they know it comes from further than Walmart, that it's grown out of the ground, and that anyone can provide this resource.
I would like to see other ministries become a bridge to help our children. Education is in a horrible place in the city of Birmingham. Not only in Birmingham, but let's go across America. I applaud LeBron James for taking much of that millions that he has, and he went on over there and started a school and gave them the incentive to do well, because if they come out well, then they got a college education paid for. Well, God is not only blessed in Ohio, it can happen in Birmingham, but you first got to have that kind of interest from the outside. And I'm grateful to God for what he's done for us, but our future is bright.
Okay, so that was one of our sites here in the state of Alabama that we wanted to share with you all about their success and the impact they are making in the Birmingham area. Now let's talk a little bit about the grant application overview. What can we expect with that process? So here are some estimated dates that we wanted you all to be aware of. During the month of May, you can expect for the request for applications to come out, which we always refer to as the RFA for this particular grant. The electronic application process will also begin during the month of May, as well as a PowerPoint being released for training on how to use the electronic grant application process. Also, the letters of intent to apply for this grant will go out, and it will be due to the State Department during the month of A, regardless if you're a local educational agency or if you're a CBO, community-based organization, or faith-based organization. During the month of June, we will also be looking to receive or send out the grant application submission due date, as well as the awards notification coming out during the month of June. So here are just some estimated dates. More specific dates will be coming out soon, but we just wanted you to have an idea of what that flow is going to look like. What is the purpose of the 21st Century Grant? And this is defined by the United States Department of Education's legislation, who are the creators of the 21st Century Grant. It is coming from the Department of Education, and it was created as a community learning center to involve the community, not just the schools, but the whole entire community, in providing an academic enrichment to students who are identified as at risk, who are attending social, economically challenged, or lower performing schools to meet state and local standards in the core subject areas. The government wanted to make sure that with this grant, we ensure that it is high quality, it is an extension of the school day, and that there are learning opportunities provided for students. And so one of the things that we like about this grant, it is operated before or after school. It can operate on the weekends, summer, or holiday breaks, but it does not operate during the school days, during the hours of the school day, excuse me. It is always offered during this time, and we have had the opportunity to have seen some sites, as well as been on site to see where grantees have chosen multiple times to provide the after-school program. Some of them may do it on the weekend and after school. Some do it after school weekend, as well as summer. So it just depends on what kind of services you would like to provide. The program must be focused on the needs assessments of those particular students living in the area in which you are providing the program. And the components of the grant that must be addressed when writing the grant are the academic enrichment, the family involvement. How are you going to involve the family? Is on site where the program is located, as well as how can it be provided to families at home. Also is addressing the component of dealing with the STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and math. And one of my favorite components, service learning. How will you teach your students how to give back to the community where they live or outside of their community? Just teaching them that process, allowing them to understand the importance of giving back to the community. Dr. Pines?
Okay, so now we're going to talk about who's eligible to apply for this grant. The applicants can be any public or private organization. As you're applying for this, it can be an LEA, one of the schools from within the area from where you live. It can be a community-based organization. Boys and Girls Club is an example, or it can be a faith-based organization as well. Any church can apply for this grant. You can also have nonprofit organization, city or county government agencies, institutions of higher education, and profitable corporations. With these organizations, they all have to either, if you're an LEA, you have to collaborate with a community-based organization or someone within the community in order to implement this program or this grant. Or if you are a CBO or FBO or any of the other organizations that I mentioned, the nonprofit, the city or government, you have to partner with an LEA. And the reason that you're partnering with the LEA is because your children will be coming from the schools that are within your area. You can go to the next slide, please. These are some examples of the nonprofit organizations, the city and government agencies, the libraries, institutions of higher education. It can be a 2-year or 4-year college. It can also be a profit corporation such as Hyundai or the Montgomery area of Chamber of Commerce. So all of those are just examples of who can actually apply for this grant. All right, so our target population, it will be those students that are defined as being below the poverty level at a percentage of 40% or greater. And this is determined by the school's enrollment within your participating area. This information can be found on EGAP 2.0, and we will go more in depth on how you can go into EGAP 2.0 and find all of the information that you need in order to complete your grant application once we have our office hours that will be coming up in May. Another group that we target are those students that are at-risk students, and that simply means that these are students that are pre-K through 12th grade who attend schools with a high concentration of students with low-income families. So those students are considered our at-risk students, and that is a part of our target population as well. This grant is a grant that is a competitive grant, which means that you are competing for this grant, and it's a 3-year grant. And within that grant period, you will get or receive an award amount of $50,000 or anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000. And this is, like I said, an annual grant for a 3-year period. Also, the thing that you need to understand is that the State Department of Education always reserves the right to award less, which is requested or is as a result of the review or the scoring process. That will be the determination if we decide to award you less than what you requested. All right, so the grantee trainees, those members that are awarded the grant, you have required training that will take place shortly after the grant award period. And within that, that training, you will receive specified training from the State Department of Education on how to implement the grant and how to make your program a success. There's also some recommended training that you can go out onto the U.S. Department of Education's 21st Century site, and there are trainings that you can participate in there that will assist you with different things that you need to know in order to implement your program. But like I said, we will provide you with all the training that you need in order to implement your program. You can go to the next slide, please. So let's talk about that professional development. We always garner the assistance of other agencies or organizations to help provide professional development so that you all, once you're awarded, that you understand and know exactly what it is that you're supposed to be doing as you're implementing your grant. Some of the organizations that we utilize to provide professional development is Y for Y, or Youth for Youth, Truman Pearson Institute, which is an organization that Erica is a part of. And we also, if you look in the slide, we have the Alabama Department of Public Health. They provided some professional development on physical fitness, which is also a component of the grant. All right, so now we're going to talk about supplement, not supplant. In this particular instance, supplement, not supplant, simply means that you have to be consistent with all the requirements of the federal and state statutes. Funds are used to supplement, which simply means to increase, not supplant, which means replace any federal funding, federal, state, or local funding that you may receive. And we're going to look at an example in the next slide. In this particular slide, you will see that it speaks to the fact that there was an organization or a school district, and in the past they had state and local funds to pay the salaries of certain personnel. Well, they lost that funding, and when they lost that funding, they didn't have the funds or the revenue in order to continue to pay those the personnel. So what they did was they were awarded some additional federal funds, and what they did was they used those funds to pay the salaries. Now, in this case, they supplemented the monies that they did have to continue to pay those personnels, which is totally allowable. But in the next slide, you'll see where we have an organization that received federal funding to purchase 4 vehicles, and they had the money to purchase the vehicles. However, when their local budget was adjusted, they had some additional monies and they wanted to use those monies to pay for the vehicles. Well, they still had the money in the federal funds, but now they received these additional local funds, but they wanted to move the vehicles from being purchased with the federal funds to being purchased with the local funds. This is where they're taking money or using money from one source that was awarded for this particular purchase and moving it to another source. You cannot move money or purchase items with additional funds just because you receive them. This is where you are supplanting. This is you're trying to replace those funds. So this is something that is not allowable. It is not allowable with any federal funds, any state or local funds. If you have funds in a certain area and you still have those funds for those items, then you must use those funds from that particular source. All right. So now we will move on to Ms. Alicia. She's going to talk about the proper use of funds.
So when we're talking about the proper use of funds, we want to make sure that whatever expenses or thought process that we have, that we are in alignment with the 21st century grant. We can use our funds to take care of personnel salaries and benefits. You want to make sure that whoever you hire will be in alignment with the grant, and those funds can be used towards that. Anything dealing with staff development and training that is going to provide knowledge for your personnel in order to be able to implement to the students in the program, that is allowable. Anything dealing with academic enrichment activities to include, if you were to allow someone on the outside as such as a vendor to come in and provide some enrichment activities that would extend the learning of the lessons that you have prepared for your students. For example, if I wanted to purchase, there's a company that has STEM background, and that's what they do. They provide lessons, and they will actually provide the instruction to extend those enrichment activities. I can use the 21st Century funds to allow them to use their services or provide services to the students in the program. Anything dealing with materials or supplies or equipment that can be used to help the students. You can use the 21st Century funds for that. You just want to make sure, however, whatever curriculum, whatever equipment that you're using, because this is up under ESSA with the federal government, you want to make sure that everything is evidence-based. No longer are we using research-based, but we're using evidence-based as our rationale for purchasing. So the supplies, the materials, the equipment, the curriculum that you choose, you want to make sure all of that is up under that guidance. And we do have some of our grantees do have subcontractors, consultants, and evaluators. So any form that that's going to help your program run smoothly operation-wise, as well as provide knowledge to your students through way of outside vendors or your classroom teachers. You can utilize your 21st Century funds to assist. Here are some approved activities that we suggest, and you may be creative to come up with some more that are aligned with the grant. But we do know that we are now coming through the pandemic, and as a result, we have students who have had loss of learning due to the pandemic. And so there may be some remediation that needs to take place in order to get the student on grade level, or you may have students who are just not performing on grade level or who are performing at grade level, and you want to continue to extend their learning. So the program can provide remedial education, in math and science. You can even utilize technology to promote or assist with that process. Of course, we talked about academic enrichment, math and science activities, limited English proficient classes. If you have students in your community that have English language, need English language to improve for their academics, then you can have a class that's just for that. Tutoring and mentoring programs. We've had the opportunity to talk to different vendors with grantees who are willing to partner with the 21st Century and provide their tutoring services, and you can pay them to do that, or you can hire individuals who specifically are tutoring. We've had the opportunity to work with different grantees who have sororities or fraternities who will come in and mentor the boys and girls. So those are some approved activities. If you have students who are needing assistance with truancy or suspensions or expelled students, this program allows activities to assist. That would be your dealing with character ed, or dealing with bullying, or dealing with students who, for instance, I've spoken with a couple of high school grantees who allow extended day to go into the night because for whatever circumstances students were in, they were not able to stay in school like they needed to or make up any work. So they would come in through the night classes in the evenings and take their classes so that they could meet whatever standards or whatever was needed for them to graduate on time. And so they had a night class to address these issues. ACT prep, we strongly encourage those who are middle and high school to begin preparing their students for the ACT. And you can purchase the curriculum, and these are just some activities that you can have for those students, as well as the physical activities, which we've seen where people have utilized outside vendors to come in and to teach things such as yoga, anything dealing with any type of PE physical activities that they normally may not be exposed to during the school day, and you want to be a little bit creative. So those are just some approved activities that we have approved in the past. Here we have just a couple of photos that we've shared before, but we just wanted to bring it to your attention that other sites have used. So to your left, you will see some STEM activities. This is just the outcome of them talking about the STEM process and why they made the basketball goals, and using how they created roller coasters and the Ferris wheels, because they were wanting to talk about speed and all of that, and the mathematical dimensions and all of that in order to create it. And so right here, you would see those different items that they created that's on the shelf. And then to your right, we have a site that actually has someone to come in to do their art, a vendor, and here the boys and girls are making a paper mache. So these are just some things that we look at for enrichment activities in our program. Remember, we talked a little bit about family engagement, and that's pulling in the community as well. So in this situation with the mother-daughter self-defense class, we see not only are we addressing the student, but we have an outside vendor that's come in to teach this class, as well as allow the collaboration and the relationship for the mother and daughters to come in and to participate in something together. We've had the opportunity to speak with grantees who also provide online family enrichment activities, where they get online and they see the activity and then they do it at their home, and instead of having to be on site. That's just being creative so that they can involve the family as well. And in the bottom right corner is a picture of a school who actually implemented, or 21st Century site, they implemented a service project that the students came up with that they felt was a need in their community. And I can attest to this because this happens to be the school. This is one of my several of my students and one of my 21st Century teachers that was a part of the program in my building. And they not only came up with the idea, they planned it and decided how it was going to work and went through that process of service learning, but they actually delivered them into the community. And this is just one of those service projects that led to the community being more interested into what was going on at that particular school and giving us feedback and how that was having a positive impact, because some of our residents were older and did not have any more children, but the school was in their area. And as a result, they wanted to come in and find out what was going on, and also find out how they could provide services to make sure that this kind of positive outcome will continue on throughout their community.
Thank you, Elisa and Dr. Pines. I do want to remind you regarding what Dr. Pines said, be sure to pay attention to where and what you're doing in your community and in your LEA with your ESSER funds, and then your state mandates as far as going with the math and the literacy requirements. Now, in saying that, that doesn't mean you cannot have a 21st Century grant. It just means there needs to be some collaboration, and you need to discuss the collaboration not only academically, but financially. So moving on, we're going to talk here about improper use of funds, because we do have a federal grant. We have a lot of compliance, and we need to make sure that we follow this compliance to ensure that we're using the money for the students. What you cannot do is you cannot pay someone with grant money to be your grant writer. So that's very important to pay attention to now, and not expect to be able to use that money if you are granted. You also are not allowed to buy any kind of snacks or foods or provide any kind of entertainment with the 21st Century funds. Also, of course, vehicles and facilities. If you're thinking, whoa, I can go out here and buy this empty building or this empty office space, and we're going to be able to get some vehicles to transport kids and have this great grant, that is not allowable. And capital improvements are not allowed. We want you to pay close attention to that in the aspect of the ESSER funds, and what they did does not carry over to the 21st century funding. If you have more questions about this, obviously we'll have some office hours that we can talk extensively, but also between now and then you can look at the EDGAR requirements, and the link is provided below. Another area that's important to pay attention to is that you're not allowed to bring in funds, meaning you cannot charge the kids a participation fee. Let's say you actually, like Erica, you had a great garden and the kids are like, oh, we want to go out and sell, you know, whatever, the lettuce or whatever it may be that we were growing, and you cannot do that. So you cannot generate income in those formats. Your partnerships are a different area, but as far as actually charging kids or doing anything of that aspect to bring income in to support the program, that is not allowable. Our ELP, this is something to pay attention to, but probably one of those areas you'll be a little bit confused about if you're not familiar with the grant. And like I said, we will have office hours that can help you, but basically we're just saying that the state of Alabama does not follow the ELP with the federal government. We have opted out of that. And next, please note that only one grant proposal can serve students at a particular school. So if the Boys and Girls Club wants to write for Alvis Elementary, and Alvis Elementary wants to write for Alvis Elementary, that is not allowable. So the coming together, collaborating, and deciding how you can all work together to serve kids is key. But you cannot have two applications submitted from the RFA Cohort 17 from the same students. So please pay attention to that area. Next, be aware that I know things happen, there are emergencies, but everything within the RFA has to be addressed. At times people will say, well, we didn't get that back, or we weren't finished writing, so we went ahead and submitted it. Every component does have to be addressed. Also, all related documents and assurance forms, everything like that must have the proper year, the proper date, and the proper signature. When we shut down at 11:59, it's electronically, so you're not allowed to go back in after that. And if it's not submitted or fully submitted at that time, you have missed the deadline. And saying about the signatures, I want you to be mindful that you're not allowed to use electronic signatures, because we do not want someone to go, well, I wasn't able to get my superintendent, it's 11:58, so I'm just going to type his name in and hopefully he'll be able to follow the assurances and agree with me. So we have to guarantee that the signatures and the assurances and everything that goes with the grant is actually signed by the appropriate person. And all documents that you upload have to be current. And what we say in that is very important, not to upload an assurance form or something, any of the required documents from 2018, a safety plan, whatever it may be, they have to be current. So I want to remind you of that. Any of these areas will disqualify you from the grant, and we sure don't want that. If you've taken the time to write, we sure don't want you to be kicked out because of a situation like one of these things. In order to move forward and to be considered, you do have to score a 191. And that's without the priority points that possibly could be within the RFA that we release. So in writing, pay attention, do your math, kind of see where you are and how you think you might score yourself to make sure you can get to that 191. Dr. Pines?
Okay, so now we're going to talk about some things that we need to remember. First of all, when you're completing your application, or prior to you completing your application, you need to ensure that you utilize, or you make sure that everyone within your chain of command is fully aware of your submission of this application. That includes LEAs as well as non-LEA entities. make sure that if there's a director, whomever it is that's in your chain of command, they all must know about this application prior to you submitting it. Remember that this is a cost reimbursable grant, and that simply means that once you spend the funds, then you will submit your purchase order, invoices, all of that to the State Department of Education, and we will reimburse you for any monies that you've spent that align with your RFA and that are within your allocation. No hard copies, faxes, or emails will be accepted. Those applications must be uploaded into EGAP 2.0. And like I said, we will go more into detail on how that process will work when we have our office hours in May. Any proposals submitted beyond the EGAP 2.0 timestamp date for which it is due, it will not proceed to the reading and scoring process. Some additional things that you need to remember, you need to start now speaking with your stakeholders to review what the needs are within your community. You need to if you're a CBO, reach out to those LEAs or those schools that are within your area and find out what it is that you are needing in order to make this grant a success in your area. You're looking at the students. You're looking to see, number one, if they're below the poverty level. What are some of the things that we need to address in your application as you're setting up or applying for your grant? You need to submit a letter of intent. This letter of intent is simply a letter that indicates that you are interested in this grant, and it's quite possible that you will apply for the grant, but it is not a guarantee that you will apply for the grant. It's just something to give us an idea on who's actually interested in applying for the grant. You need to attend the upcoming office hours. The office hours will take place in the month of May, and during that time, it's a time for you to ask questions about the submission of your application, how if you have specific questions about anything in regards to the application. This is the time for you to have an open dialogue with the State Department of Education and express any of your concerns, and we will at that time provide you with the answers that you need in order to move forward with submitting your application. On the last statement, it says you need to conduct a self-reflection of conflict of interest. And that simply means, can you be unbiased in your actions, your judgment, or your decisions as you're completing your grant? And if you make a decision that you want to hire someone or, provide a service from someone within the community, can you be unbiased in choosing that person? In essence, if there are two entities that are providing the same service, one is your friend, one is not your friend. One, the quality of the service is equally as great with both of the entities. One says that they're going to service you for, let's say, $500. The other one says they're going to service you charge you about $1,000. Your friend is the $1,000, and the services are equally as great at both locations. Can you be unbiased in making your decision and not choosing your friend just because he or she is your friend? So you need to have that self-reflection prior to making a decision about who it is that you want to partner with or how you want to partner with different entities within your community. All right, this is just a copy of the letter of intent to apply. It will be available to you sometime in May of 2023, and it's simply asking for your agency and a person that we can reach out to should we need to reach out to you. And this just provides us with a guideline for the number of people that are possibly interested in applying for this grant. All right, EGAP 2.0 is what I've been speaking of and where your application will be uploaded. In EGAP 2.0, you do not have to have a login to get in. When you go into EGAP 2.0, if you look over on the left-hand side, it's a little small, but this is something that we will get more in depth in May. But it has Alabama State Department Education, or ALSDE resources. When you go over to that particular place on your on that chart, click on that and it will take you to a listing of different resources that are within the State Department of Education. You can go down to Title IV Part B, and it has the information about 21st Century Community Learning Centers. Currently, that site has our 21st Century 16th cohort there, but once we release the application, all of that information will be pertaining to cohort 17. Also, this is the site when you're completing your application where you will go to find out what that poverty level is. Remember that we are servicing those at-risk students with that come from schools with a 40% or higher poverty level. This is where you will find that information as well. Okay, so the informational meeting, today is Wednesday, April 19th. We've had about 3 of these meetings thus far. And if there's someone that you know that's interested in applying for the grant and they want to get more information on the grant, have them log in to our meeting that we will be having again on tomorrow from 11 to 1, and then we'll have another one on Tuesday from 9 to 11. These are simply informational meetings, and we will provide you with the overview on how to apply for the grant and also some components of the grant. These are our virtual office hours. As I was speaking to you when I said that we will have open dialogue during this time, these will be the dates and times that we will have open dialogue where you are able to log on, ask questions, and we can provide you with the feedback that you need in order to be successful in completing your applications. All right, so now we're going to look at some other 21st century experiences. The first one that you will see comes from Lynchburg City Schools in Virginia, so that we can see how different sites from around the U.S. are presenting or completing their 21st century programs, just so you can have an idea on what that looks like in other places.
21st Century Community Learning Center grants are competitive grants, and in Lynchburg we're very fortunate that we have 8 schools that we are able to have this funding for, and these programs the main focus is supporting state and local standards with reading and math, and also being able to provide parent engagement and enrichment opportunities for students and their parents.
At Heritage Elementary, we have morning fitness every day for 1 hour, Monday through Friday. On Monday and Tuesday, we do reading remediation. Wednesdays, we do math remediation. Thursdays are enrichment days, so we provide activities. They can choose from cool science, clay clubs, Legos, Girls on the Run, drum and flag. So they have a vast number of programs they can choose from.
This provides an opportunity that they would not get during the regular school day, that they can go and do cooking and photography and Girls on the Run.
Girls on the Run is a girls empowerment program for girls that are age 8 to 13. It usually runs elementary level 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It gives girls skills to help them cope with bullying, but also giving them self-confidence strategies to help them with problem solving. I think for our girls it means community. They are able to learn from each other, not just within their grade level, but because it's 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they learn what the experience of older students who may have a different way to look at things. And it also gives them something to work towards, because in the season we have a 5K, and the families love it, and so do the girls, to just come together and push each other to do new things and learn things in a different way. If it was not for 21st Century, these girls could not participate in this program because 21st Century covers the cost for our students. And a program without them covering that cost would not exist because it is a costly program.
So this is helping Lincoln Elementary students have access to resources that we normally wouldn't be able to use consistently every school day, technology that we wouldn't always have access to during the school day. But it's also helping impact their test scores and show growth in academic areas such as reading and math. We're really fortunate that a lot of our teachers that teach at the school actually are instructors within the program. So the students have established relationships there, but we're also able to bring in people from the community to teach classes. And so it's nice to have that balance of people that they know and are familiar with, but also within the community working with our students and exposing them to new activities, new ideas.
I think it's really great for them to be able to use some of these tools, basically professional level tools that they wouldn't normally have access to at this age. They end up kind of exploring their creativity in different ways. We actually kind of open it up where they have a lot of different projects, and then at the end of the semester we usually do an art show. Which they get to have their work up either in one of the spaces or the hallway here. And we have a big opening on First Friday, which brings in a lot of the kids who maybe haven't been to art galleries, maybe even their parents haven't been to art galleries before, and just trying to kind of get that experience and bring them out into the community a little bit while we're kind of connecting with them.
We're trying to build capacity building with parents. How can we help you and your child at home? When you go home, what are some things? So some schools are doing some make it, take it activities. We're doing family game nights where you can sit down with a board game and have a conversation, having dialogue, working and being together, and it's family time.
This year so far, we've already served over 180 students here at Heritage Elementary through one program or another. With the Heritage Elementary grant, we wrote the grant, so we do target the students that need remediation, but we also target students that may not need reading or math help, but they, want the enrichment activities.
Once we can spark that interest, it's going to go back to the classroom, and we're going to see that increase in student achievement because they're going to want to grow. They're going to want to be there at school. It's going to they want to go to school so that they can go and do the fun things that are in after school time.
Freehold is a special community.
It's a place where people care about people. Our diversity is our strength. It really is what makes us unique and so wonderful.
So you're working on a Chromebook, right?
We are considered a Title I district. Our students feed into a regional high school district. They're going to sit next to students that have had the luxury of more affluent education, of greater life skills. That's where I feel the after-school programs have a tremendous amount of power for these students.
So you have two acute.
The 21st Century program is an after-school program that supports our students' needs academically, socially, and emotionally.
The thing that's cool about our program is everyone is invited. The only requirement is you have to be between 4th and 8th grade.
We decided that the underlying theme of our program would be STEM.
As a country, we need to move more of our youth towards, science careers, math careers, technology careers. After school is a great space to be able to do that.
We are committed to educating a whole child, so we put the art back in. So now we're a STEAM program.
We do an hour of academics every day, and then they go into something that they chose to do, so something more fun.
Some of them go into STEM programs, technology programs, where they learn coding and robotics.
If they have an interest in art, there's art programs for them. If they have interest in sports, there's sports programs for them.
It also exposes them to field trips and activities that they would normally have the opportunity to participate in.
You use your ruler to line it up.
The programs are really fun, and it gives you an opportunity to get help with your homework. I don't have to be at home, just bored. My friends are here. I get to, have fun with them. It's more fun to come here.
The after-school program should be an extension of the school day, providing a holistic environment in the after-school for youth.
Anything that they're missing during the day, they're able to get that back after school in the program.
The teachers that these students see during the day, they see them also in 21st century. They know exactly what kind of help the kid needs.
The programs are really great. It's right in the school, so which makes it easier for working parents. Then you don't have to transport your kids, and they're in a safe environment.
Yes is Maya.
Field Borough schools have had funding through the 21st Century Community Learning Center grant for many years, and they're stars in that regard.
Find a pass now. Who's in the middle?
21st century literally opens up the world to them.
They're a very high quality program, and they're essential to the community because they run such a wonderful program.
The 21st Century allows our kids to adventure and do things that they possibly couldn't do otherwise. This is a really a great program.
They're offered so many different choices and really has a very profound effect on their lives and a profound effect on their academics and their social emotional growth.
Okay, so I'm Erica Rucker again from Auburn University, Truman Pierce Institute. So I'm going to talk to you about the 21st century GEPRA measures and some other things that we do and help implement here at TPI. So the government, the GPRA, the GEPRA measures stands for Government Performance and Results Act, and it's pretty much what we send to the DOE about the grantees. So we gather this information through Easy Report and some other sources, and it helps tell our story to the DOE, which in turn goes to Congress, and then they decide they decide on our funding for the state based on our outcomes. So GEPRA measures, and this is just a chart that I created to kind of do a rundown on what the GEPRA measures are. So GEPRA measures are going to be state assessments, that's for grades 4th through 8th, and we take that from Power School and put it in Easy Report. Academic achievement is grades 7th through 8th and 10th through 12th, and that's going to be GPAs, and we take that from Power School. School day attendance, that'll be for grades 1 through 12, and that's from Power School. School day behavior, and that'll be in-school suspensions. That's grades 1 through 12, that's from Power School, and school day improvement is grades 1 through 5, and we do a teacher survey that we send out through Easy Report. If you're wondering how we get the information from Power School, you will have to enter in the student ID numbers, so you need to have a really good relationship with your school person to make sure that you get the student numbers correct. And you will also need to go into Power School, or someone from your school will also need to go into Power School and flag the students as 21st century students on a continuous basis to make sure that we're capturing all the 21st century students. So make sure when you're writing this grant that you sure up that partnership with the LEA to make sure that you'll have somebody in place to flag the students in Power School, because that's going to be imperative for your grant. So I mentioned Easy Report when I was talking about the GEPRA measure. So Easy Reports is essentially a website that we use to store all of our 21st century data that we send to the DOE. So it's a website that you use daily as a grantee to track the students' information, schedules, attendance, staff, surveys, etc. We put a lot of information into Easy Report to kind of let us have a picture of your everyday activities at your 21st century site, since we aren't able to go out and be with you every day. So you'll feed that information into Easy Report. And then for external evaluation, Alicia mentioned external evaluation through the contractors earlier. So there's a portion of your budget that will be for external evaluation. That person does not need to be your grant writer. They need to be external. They don't need to be a LEA employee. They don't need to be an employee of yours currently. They don't need to be a retired employee of your former employee. They need to be external so that they can give you an actual true depiction of your program's implementation versus your program's goals that you put into the RFA. So they're there to help you help your program's success, and they're going to look at your strengths and weaknesses and provide you recommendations. We do have a list, because you will have to address who is going to be your external evaluator in the RFA. We have a list on the website, alabama21cclc.org, where under the external evaluation tab, we have vetted external evaluators, but that does not mean that you have to use those external evaluators. You can come up with your own external evaluator. Just make sure that they have no conflict of interest, because they will have to submit a form that you and they sign to say that they have no conflict of interest. But it could be someone else. Just make sure that you're looking at someone who has a master's level statistics class, because they will have to create reports and kind of look at some numbers based on what you have done in your program versus what you said you were going to do in your program. So with the external evaluation process, these are the due dates. So every external evaluator has to do an observation per semester. So if you look on here, we have fall, spring, and summer observations. Those are due in the respectable season. If you have a summer program, then they do have to do a summer evaluation or a summer observation. If you do not, then you'll just do fall and spring. They'll be responsible for an evaluation plan that's going to be due around December 15th. And we have a template for that. It's on the website. We have a mid-year report that is going to be due by the site or program director. And that's just pretty much for the site or program director to look back on what was in the RFA, the goals and objectives, and say, how are you progressing towards those goals and objectives? Are you working towards them? Have you forgotten and you need to create an action plan for how you're going to start implementing them? What's your progress on that goals and objectives, regardless of where you are throughout the year? And then the final report is due by the external evaluator due September 30th, which is the end of the fiscal year. And it's just going to be, it's a template on the website, and they will be trained on how to do all of this information. But statistics, master's level statistics, which you're generally looking for them to have. Again, this is my contact information. I'm Erica Rucker. Also, I'm the person who sends out the emails with all of the information about 21st Century and the RFA and all of that. That's also going to be on our website, alabama21cclc.org, because we do have changes that happen every so often. But if you're not on our listserv and you want information regularly, send me an email. There's my email on the screen, and I will add you to our Want Information listserv. Do that today, so I'll add it. That's all for me.
Thank you, Erica. We so appreciate everything you do, especially our data tracking. It's our opportunity to tell our story as a state, and it's part of our federal compliance in order to receive funds for the state and to be able to distribute out to you. So in all that, I know Erica said daily on Easy Reports, tell your story, be proud, and let us be proud and share that with Congress. So in the future, they will vote to continue to give us funds. Now what we want to do is you probably, okay, I'm interested, but what exactly does this look like? We're going to provide some visuals here for you. You have some programs that are going on and things that are happening. And we're going to share first with Gulf Shores. Brittany is one of our great directors, and she is available if you're thinking, well, who can I reach out to that actually has boots on the ground? Her information is on the next slide that you can take it down, reach out to her, ask questions. She is an excellent mentor and resource, and all the things we're getting ready to show you pictures of and talk a little bit about are things that she has implemented through their program there that they've had for many years with the 21st Century Grant. The first thing Brittany is going to cover and talk to you about are the key people in order to be successful and to not just meet the compliance and the GEPR measures and all the things that come with the grant, but how to really change your culture and have success. People are the key. You need the teachers and collaboration. You need them in your program. You need to collaborate with them. The parents, they're part of your program, whether they volunteer, whether they work, or in your activities that extend outside of your program. Business owners, being able to bring those business owners in and have a stake in it, whether they're on your advisory board or whether they may come in and talk about finance or show them how to build something. Volunteers, especially senior volunteers and high school volunteers, can come in and teach gardening or just be a part of whatever you have going on. But these are all very valuable people, And in essence, the bottom line, people are the key. You're the key and the people you collaborate with. So now we're going to see a couple of great things they've done in Gulf Shores. They first started this as just a little unit that now has grown into the Jedi around Star Wars and all the great sci-fi movies that are out there. And it aligns with our STEM, obviously, that go into every bit of our educational process. So now they've gone from the Jedi Academy to they have a whole league, and you can see the kids playing here and how that interacts and carries what they're learning during the school day in their science programs and their math programs over into activity in the evening. From there, we're looking at, music. Yes, so they have music classes that they offer. And I know someone earlier talked about some of their sports classes where one of their teachers, who was not a music teacher, was interested in teaching the kids how to play the guitar and how to do some other things like that. And it also let him tie back to his passion. So he was able to earn a little extra money as one of their teachers, but he also was able to share his talents and things the kids did not even know about him and bring it to the 21st century program. Our next one is, you see the keyboard here and the teacher teaching. This is one thing that you were able possibly to purchase some keyboards and be able to do this in your program, or to bring in someone from your local church. It may be the organist or something like that, and let them be a part of your program. In a lot of the communities that 21st Century serves, as far as someone being able to actually go out and pay for someone to give private lessons, that's very expensive. When with the 21st Century grant, you can have it all. And the next one of their local, I believe he's a coach and a social studies teacher, if I recall. He's teaching the kids how to build different things and some musical instruments. And these are all things that were purchased with the 21st Century funding, and it are allowable. And some of you are probably looking and going, oh, that's kind of scary. Did he actually let the kids do that? He did. He trained them appropriately and had all the disclosures that needed to go with it. But he was teaching them the career and college readiness to move on to the next level through this. And he was very excited to be a part of the program. Our culinary classes are probably our most popular as far as our current grantees, where kids learn to cook and they use their math skills and everything else that come with the school day, and they bring it into the program and create all kinds of neat things through their food and using the different facilities in their school as far as the kitchens and things like that. But what I do want to mention here is once they create this, we typically have some questions as to, oh, well, we want to go out and create a lemonade stand, or we want to go sell our brownies, or whatever it may be that we were able to make. You're not able to do that. You are able to allow the kids to eat them, but you're not allowed to sell them. But anyway, this is one of our most popular, is the culinary classes. This is my favorite. They worked with solar power. They built the cars, they bought the supplies, everything out of cardboard and all the materials, brought them in. It is a huge community event now where they have races and people form teams, and they have expanded it just unbelievably in Gulf Shores. If you're ever around, or contact Brittany and say, hey, when's the next Green Power race? She will let you know. But it's a big family and community event, and the kids are learning about the environment and the power of solar. Here, this screen always scares people too, because they look at fireworks and go, oh, did the kids create fireworks? They have a 3D printing, and they also, you can see the middle right here where they have their toolbox, and they were able to create some different things that actually explode. I know Alicia talked earlier about rockets. They were all safe, but it was exciting for the kids to learn about all this. And then in return, they took a field trip up to NASA to understand the science component of that with space. And this is one thing Erica did in her program. They brought the 4-H in. They learned about seeds and planting and soil and water and the facts that the environment and plastic have on all the growth. And they were able to start from the bottom and with the seeds and develop their own garden. And a lot of these photos you see, and like this one, you see elementary kids, but our programs do expand. You can write for middle school and high school kids, and the learning growth and the things they do in these same components can work. They took a field trip to the Gulf State Park. They had a good time. They went swimming. They had a number of speakers come in. They did some hiking and collected some different leaves and rocks and soil samples. So this is something else you can do. I don't know how much we've mentioned it on being able to expand outside of your school or outside of your community through the field trips that align with what you're currently doing in your program, that align obviously with what's going on in school. So it's, kids are able to go some places they've never been. The list goes on and on, the 3D printer, laser printing. What if you want to have a dance class and teach people to, whether it's square dance or ballet or whatever it may be? And Spanish. If you have people in your community that are interested in speaking a different language, being able to bring them in and teach the kids different languages. So these are just areas that you should consider when you write, or if you write for the grant, that you could bring into your community. Alicia?
So what's next? Okay, so we've heard a lot of wonderful things. As your mind is going through this whole process of how you can implement this grant and apply, one of the biggest things that we really want you to prioritize is to make sure that you contact the LEA or the school that you're interested in providing services to, because without them, you will not be able to implement the grant. It has to be a collaborative effort of you all working together and making sure that they understand that throughout the process, you will from time to time need their input or their assistance in making sure that the program is successful. The needs assessment of stakeholders, those primarily come from the school, knowing your data, knowing the percentage of those who are at risk in that particular school or schools that you'll be providing services to. And a lot of times there are surveys that the school system, the LEA can give you in regards to knowing the likes or needs that the community may have, to include your partners. Who will best assist you with this process? Who will be willing to come in and be a vendor and to provide some of this type of activities that you've seen at some of the sites through videos or pictures, or even that you have been able to go and create in your mind that you think would be a wonderful way to bring in a partner with that, not only just as a vendor, but someone that will be a part of your partnership team that will have ongoing insight as you go through as you're implementing the grant and suggesting ways to improve or make things better, or to just support you throughout the process. So that's your thinking process with your partnerships. Then you want to remember to submit your letter of interest if you think this is something that you're interested in doing. It does not mean that you are definitely going to apply. It just gives us an opportunity to begin to look at how many candidates are interested in applying for the grant. And also looking out for the release of the application and knowing your timeline of making sure the information has been uploaded into EGAT 2.0 before that 11:59 p.m. time span. So those are some things we want you to think about that is next. We wanted to provide you with some additional resources, all that are free, that are listed here and are beneficial for the 21st Century After School program. Alabama Expanded Learning Alliance is aligned with the after school program and with the state of Alabama. It provides all types of different resources to include lesson plans, to include suggestions with different vendors. The Alabama, of course, our site, the 21st Century Community Learning Center, it not only provides you with resources with forms or different things that outlines the requirements, but we also have YouTube videos of previous trainings that have gone on in the past that you will be expected to attend in the future should you be a recipient of the grant. But all of that is on our 21st Century site. And also on the US DOE's site for the 21st Century, the information that we reference to throughout the presentation This is the link to go to see the information, especially in regards to this is the 25th year celebration for the 21st Century Grant, as well as any activities. They have spotlighted videos of different 21st century programs throughout the United States that are successful and have the data to support how successful they are through student achievement. The Wallace Foundation is also a part of this. It will provide you with the calculations of how to calculate your poverty, or how to look at how much you want to spend on certain items or budgeting. And it also gives you additional information in regards to resources. Are they evidence-based? So you can go through that site. Also, and last, one of our favorites that we use a lot of times when we are providing any trainings to our site our site coordinators or program directors, who can also in turn share it with their staff, is called U for U or Y for Y. They are directly associated with the United States Department of Education. They have an abundance of resources to include also modules or videos that will take you step by step on how to do some operations, or how to improve in areas that maybe your external evaluator may say you need to improve upon, or maybe just to help you feel comfortable in implementing your program at your site. And they also have resources or suggestions for types of equipment, ideas on how to come through or follow through with having an actual staff meeting with your staff that has a 21st that is a part of the 21st Century Grant. So it has a wealth of things, and all of these are free. They may ask you, I especially know for why, they may ask you, do you want to give your email address, because they'll send you newsletters and letting you know things that are going on, and also upcoming national conferences that are coming up that are associated with the 21st Century Grant. If you have any questions related to this presentation, information dealing with how to get involved or how to apply, we ask that you please email your questions to 21stcclcgrant@alsde.edu. This email account is specifically geared towards whatever questions you may have in regards to the grant. Just a few things we want to remind you as we get ready to close out our presentation for today. Like Rebecca told you, we have the same link that will be available up until Wednesday. The link does change. However, we will be meeting again, as we did today, on Thursday, tomorrow, and on next Tuesday to go over this information. So if you have anyone that you're thinking about partnering with and you want to let them hear it firsthand, we ask that you go share the link with them, invite them to join with us. If there's anyone that you feel that may be a prospective vendor and you just want to share with them some of the things, you can share the link and ask them to come on and join. So this is or if you just want to hear it again, although it will be recorded, and it has been recorded and will be posted, but we just wanted you to know that this is available to the public. Our last set of dates in the month of May will be geared to where we will actually be on live to talk to you about any of your questions you may have as you're going through talking to your LEA or talking to different vendors or partners or looking at different resources. Some things may come to mind that you hadn't thought about after you have finished hearing us and going through some things that you want to ask us directly that's pertaining to your needs and what creative thoughts you may have about your particular grant and how you can come across for those that you want to serve. And so we have those office hours specifically geared throughout the month of May, open to any questions that you may have.
We are very excited and appreciate you all joining us and look forward to hopefully seeing your application once the RFA is released and or on our upcoming office hours to answer your questions. If you need anything anytime, please do email us or give us a call. But again, thank you for joining us today, and we hope you will consider applying for the 21st Century Grant. Thanks.